The highly anticipated matchup between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers was meant to be a showcase for the very best the WNBA has to offer. With over 2.1 million viewers tuning in, this was the league's moment to shine on a national stage. But that's not how things played out. While Caitlin and Paige delivered a solid performance on the court, the real headlines weren't about their scoring. Instead, it was the officiating that stole the spotlight, and not in a good way. Missed calls, inconsistent whistles, and questionable decisions were impossible to ignore. And this time, the media didn't hold back. National broadcasters openly called out the officiating live on air. It was blunt, it was direct, and it left no room for excuses. Now, the mainstream sports media is putting serious heat on the WNBA and on Commissioner Cathy Engelbert herself. For too long, Engelbert has been dismissive of concerns about inconsistent officiating. But after this latest controversy, that's becoming impossible to ignore. The pressure is on, and change may finally be on the horizon, whether leadership likes it or not. In this video, I'll break down exactly what happened, show you the key moments the media is talking about, and explain why this situation could force the league to make long overdue adjustments. But first, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like this video. Every like helps spread the word about what's really going on in the WNBA. And subscribe for all the latest updates on Caitlin Clark and the league's biggest storylines.
Can you tell me what kind of a move that Ryan Howard's doing here to Caitlin Clark? What is that move?
Throughout this WNBA season, officiating has been under heavy criticism, and for good reason. While it's common in sports for fans to voice their frustration with referees, what's been unfolding this year feels like it's reached another level entirely. The inconsistency has been glaring, especially when it comes to the league's biggest stars. In most professional leagues, whether it's basketball, hockey, or any other sport, there's a clear understanding that star players deserve a fair shot to showcase their skills without being constantly grabbed, pushed, or hacked without consequence. Yet in the WNBA, it seems Caitlin Clark, the face of the league right now, isn't getting that same level of protection. Game after game, Clark has faced relentless physicality with very little intervention from the officials. It's one thing to carry the weight of expectations on your shoulders. It's another to have defenders draped all over you with no whistle in sight. These concerns aren't new. Fans and analysts alike have been raising the alarm repeatedly, but the league has appeared slow to respond. However, during the Fever's matchup against the Dallas Wings, the situation became impossible to ignore. The officiating drew such widespread criticism that even the national media felt compelled to speak up. When broadcasters and journalists start calling it out live on air, you know the problem can no longer be brushed aside.
There's a hold. There's another grab. I mean,
All of those
the ball.
There's a grab, there's a hold, there's a grab, there's a hold.
This quickly became the biggest talking point across sports media. Rebecca Lobo, one of the most respected voices in women's basketball, didn't hold back, openly criticizing the officiating live on national television. The way she broke it down felt less like commentary and more like grading a failing student's test. Call after call, mistake after mistake. The frustration was clear in her voice. Her reaction said it all. This isn't just about one game, this is about a pattern that's been playing out far too often. Fans and analysts immediately seized on the moment because they've been seeing it happen in nearly every Indiana Fever game this season.
You slow down the plays, if you watch the plays, you can see it happen in real time. Like, she is getting bumped, she is getting grabbed, she is getting hand checked throughout the entire game, and it continues to happen.
You can play physical, but play clean ball. We don't even get that in the W. We get dirty ball, foul, every single possession. Every single possession. If Caitlin Clark has the ball in her hands, she is getting hacked every single possession. And the referees need to start calling.
Whether or not you support the Fever or follow Caitlin Clark, this is a concern that impacts the entire league.
You know, it's very physical. I'm saying something to the ref, watch my landing space, watch physicality. I get laughed at.
And I got scratches on my face, got scratches on my body, and these guards on the other team get these ticky-tack fouls, and I'm sick of it.
I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better.
The situation has reached a point where, according to Rebecca Lobo, coaches are now openly encouraging their players to be as physical as possible, knowing the referees likely won't call it. That speaks to a much bigger, league-wide issue. And just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, Rebecca, along with her broadcast partner Ryan Ruocco, took things a step further by bringing up Paige Buchers.
He said that Paige Buchers has come out and says she needs to relearn how to play defense while fouling more because you can get away with everything with these referees. So basically, she had to relearn how to play defense while fouling. So, you know, everything you learn about defense, how to play while not fouling, how to move your feet, how to do all this, she had to throw out all the good defensive fundamentals that she'd learned. And now she had to learn to go foul.
If this doesn't make it clear there's a serious officiating problem in the WNBA, I'm not sure what will. Paige Buchers has even had to completely adjust her defensive approach, essentially unlearning the fundamental skills she developed at UConn. Skills that are being tossed aside in favor of overly physical play that simply isn't being called. And things only seem to be escalating. In a recent matchup against the Connecticut Sun, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever once again found themselves on the receiving end of elbows, excessive contact, and the kind of rough play that's practically become routine for this team. But two moments from that game stood out. First, there was a heated exchange between Clark and the referee. It appeared to start as a calm conversation but quickly escalated, with Clark reportedly snapping, "That has nothing to do with it. Are you kidding me?" Based on how it unfolded, it's hard not to believe the official said something dismissive or out of line to provoke that kind of reaction. And let's not forget, Gabby Williams already mentioned officials laughing off player concerns earlier this season. It's starting to look like this kind of behavior might be part of a larger pattern. Interestingly, Clark wasn't assessed a technical foul for her outburst, which suggests the official knew he had crossed a line. But that wasn't the only headline from this game. Caitlin Clark suffered yet another injury. What really ignited the firestorm, though, was a post from Clark's brother on social media, placing the blame squarely on the referees. And that was just the beginning. The situation exploded into national conversation when the Washington Post published a blistering article, directly criticizing the WNBA's officiating and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. And the opening lines of that article? Absolutely scathing.
The WNBA should change its logo to a bruise. That's the first line of this article. Forget that little silhouette of a woman rising for a shot. Just use Caitlin Clark's arm or leg with a purple discoloration. It's more fitting. Woo-wee. Shots fired.
The article pulls no punches when it comes to criticizing the officiating in the WNBA. One of the most alarming stats highlighted? Since the start of the season, there have already been 141 reported injuries, and that's with only 179 active players across the entire league. Keep in mind, we're only halfway through the season. The piece goes on to make a bold claim. This ongoing issue is actively hurting the league. Fans don't want to see this type of physical, reckless play go unchecked, and the article places direct responsibility on Commissioner Cathy Engelbert for allowing it to continue. Now the pressure is squarely on her shoulders. Until now, many feel she hasn't treated this issue with the seriousness it deserves. But with injuries piling up, media criticism intensifying, and fan frustration boiling over, that's no longer something she can ignore.
I do find it interesting when you sit in the chair I sit in that no winning team ever complains about officiating. No losing team ever doesn't complain about officiating. Cathy Engelbert, you sound like a moron. The Indiana Fever were complaining about the foul play that was going on with Caitlin Clark as they beat the Connecticut Sun. The Indiana Fever was going off about the refs with the whole Kennedy Carter situation as they beat the Chicago Sky. They won those games.
It's common in sports like hockey for fans to boo the referees the moment they step onto the ice. It's practically tradition. But what WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert seems to be missing is that this isn't just typical fan frustration over a few bad calls. This is much bigger. The officiating issues in the WNBA are putting the league's future at risk. Right now, the WNBA is enjoying the biggest spotlight it's ever had, thanks largely to Caitlin Clark bringing in a surge of new viewers. These aren't casual fans. They understand the game. They know what a foul looks like, and they know when poor officiating is ruining the competition. What fans, players, and coaches are asking for isn't unreasonable. Fair and consistent officiating. Nobody wants to watch games decided by missed calls or phantom fouls. Unfortunately, this isn't hypothetical. It's already happened on the league's biggest stage. Think back to Game 5 of the 2024 WNBA Finals. With the championship hanging in the balance, a questionable call against the Minnesota Lynx allowed the New York Liberty to tie the game, and eventually steal the title in overtime. Coaches usually avoid calling out officials directly, but Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve didn't hold back after that game. And moments like that are exactly why fans are losing trust in the league's officiating.
I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on, right? Bring it on. Because this shit was stolen from us. Bring it on. This shit ain't that hard. Officiating it's not that hard. When someone is being held, be consistent. If you don't want to hold it one, then don't call it the other. Be consistent. Every team out.
There's no need to read between the lines on this one. That championship game wasn't just lost. Many believe it was taken away by inconsistent officiating. The lack of consistency from the referees has been a major talking point, not just in the finals, but throughout the entire WNBA season. We saw something similar happen when the Indiana Fever faced the New York Liberty this year. In a game that came down to the wire, the referees made not one, but 3 highly questionable decisions. Those calls directly helped the Liberty gain the lead and ultimately denied Caitlin Clark the opportunity to even attempt a game-tying or game-winning shot. It's also hard not to notice how players like A'ja Wilson seem to get the benefit of the doubt from officials far more often than others. As much as Caitlin's supporters love watching her play, they're not going to stick around if all they see is her taking unnecessary hits night after night. And when she's sidelined by injuries, as she is once again, fans are tuning out. They simply won't continue supporting a league that isn't doing enough to protect one of its biggest stars. That leads to a much larger issue. Inconsistent officiating doesn't just hurt competition, it makes the game less safe. Physical play is a natural part of basketball, but there's a clear line between tough defense and reckless contact. When referees fail to establish control early, games spiral. We've already seen the consequences. Think back to Indiana's matchup with the Connecticut Sun. Poor officiating early on led to Caitlin taking repeated hard hits, from getting poked in the eye to being knocked down to the floor. No fouls were called, no control was established. That frustration boiled over later when Sophie Cunningham delivered a hard foul on JC Sheldon, a moment that surprisingly earned her over 1 million new followers on social media. Why? Because fans are tired of watching Caitlin Clark take constant physical punishment without any accountability. Cunningham's actions, whether you agree with them or not, were seen by some as long overdue retaliation. Even her coach stood by her after the game.
When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates back.
One of the biggest issues facing the WNBA right now is the level of physical play that's going unchecked. When referees allow players to push the limits without consequence, injuries become almost inevitable. And this isn't just about Caitlin Clark. Players across the league have voiced their frustrations. We've all seen the clips and heard the commentary. The concerns are real. But let's focus on Caitlin for a moment because, whether the league admits it or not, her health and availability have a massive impact on the WNBA's success. Think about this. Throughout her entire college career and her early time as a pro, Caitlin Clark had never missed a game due to injury. Not once. That was until this season. So, what changed? Well, Caitlin spent the offseason adding strength and muscle to her frame. Why? Because she recognized the physical toll the league was taking on her. Rather than expecting the officiating to protect her, she took matters into her own hands to better withstand the contact. Yet despite those efforts, she's now suffered multiple injuries. Not just minor bumps and bruises, but setbacks serious enough to keep her out of games on 3 separate occasions. And here's something to consider. Could adding that extra muscle have altered her mechanics, particularly in her legs? For a player who relies so heavily on her range and shooting form, any slight change in balance or rhythm could have an effect. Many observers have already pointed this out, and now Caitlin has been sidelined again, even missing the All-Star game, which was heavily marketed as her moment to shine. Without her, the event lacked the energy and excitement many were expecting. The situation has reached a point where fans are openly encouraging her to take as much time off as necessary, not just to fully recover, but also to send a clear message to the league. Without Caitlin on the court, everyone feels the difference. Attendance suffers, viewership drops, the excitement fades. And this is exactly where the WNBA leadership, including Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, is missing a critical opportunity. Fans are already suggesting bold alternatives, whether it's Caitlin going overseas to play in Europe or even stepping away from the W entirely to pursue something new. The frustration with the current state of the league is growing. If Caitlyn continues to miss significant time, sponsors and TV networks are going to start asking tough questions. And at the center of it all will be the league's handling of player safety and whether they did enough to protect the face of the WNBA.
There's a CBA in question right now, and there's also a media rights deal right now. Do you think those television networks aren't concerned?
It's hard not to think that Adam Silver and the NBA will eventually step in here. After all, the NBA has poured hundreds of millions of dollars into the WNBA over the years. And despite that investment, the league has never been consistently profitable. Caitlin Clark represents their best chance to finally turn things around. There's simply no way Silver or the NBA's ownership groups are pleased watching her suffer repeated injuries, especially with league expansion already planned by 2030. The financial risks are enormous. Networks and sponsors are not going to continue paying premium dollars if Caitlyn isn't on the court. The harsh reality is clear. Without her, the league risks slipping back into the days of half-empty arenas and low viewership. It's not just speculation. We've already seen the numbers. Players like Angel Reese or Nafisa Collier may have big names, but they haven't been able to consistently fill arenas like Caitlin Clark has. Even venues with 10,000 seats like Wintrust Arena have struggled. Ownership is well aware of this. That's why the players' leverage in future CBA negotiations has likely weakened. With Caitlyn sidelined and TV ratings reportedly dipping by more than 50% during her absence, owners are unlikely to meet the demands players had hoped for. In fact, it's telling that some players have now pushed for Caitlin Clark to get involved in CBA discussions. That's probably the last thing they wanted to do, but it shows just how much power she holds right now. The players have gone to the NBA for help in the past, and now they're looking to Caitlyn for the same. But realistically, what can she promise? She can't guarantee she won't get injured again. No athlete can. The more logical solution would be for both sides, the league and the players, to agree on bringing in NBA-level officiating standards. A commitment to a more consistent professional style of refereeing would not only improve player safety, but also allow skill and talent to shine without the unnecessary risk. If officiating doesn't improve, the league faces a very real threat of losing everything it's built. This isn't just about one player or one fan base. Players have spoken out, coaches have voiced concerns, fans are frustrated, and Caitlin Clark, the face of the league's future, has already suffered 3 significant injuries this season. The evidence is clear. There are countless examples of her taking excessive contact without proper calls being made. At this point, the only person who seems unconvinced is Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. But with so much on the line, from sponsorships to long-term survival, don't be surprised if higher powers within the basketball world step in to force the changes that are so clearly needed.